I am Will Williams of Baylor University, and I'd like to speak today a little about my paper, Irony as the Birth of Kierkegaard's Single Individual and the Beginning of Politics. One of my primary concerns in this paper is to help clarify what Kierkegaard means by irony, and so in this way kind of contribute to the field of Kierkegaard studies. By my reading, irony in Kierkegaard is kind of broadly misunderstood in two primary ways. The first way that irony is misunderstood in Kierkegaard is that it is ignored as frivolous or maybe kind of a distraction. So, for example, if you can imagine a reader who is very interested in Kierkegaard's philosophical accounts, maybe his ethical constructions or his theological readings, and then they may come across a bit of irony and they say, well, that's a cute little diversion, or maybe even a passage expounding on irony and not quite know what to do with it. Say, this is interesting but not relevant to what I'm talking about right now. I think that's a mistake. I believe that irony is substantive for Kierkegaard's understanding of these matters, and I would like to see it incorporated into these philosophical and theological accounts more than I already do. The second way that I think irony is misread in Kierkegaard's accounts are by some Kierkegaard scholars who actually appreciate it and look for it. However, what they see is that the presence of irony somehow indicates that this is just a game. Oh, look, they might say, Kierkegaard is, you see, he's not being serious here because you can detect the irony. And so in that account, a description of Kierkegaard gets spun out as if all meaning is infinitely deferred. It's all wheels within wheels, and at the end of the day, there's no meaning, but everything is just kind of ends in laughter. That is not, I suggest, what Kierkegaard means by irony, not how he uses it either. And so I'm attempting to forestall both of those misreadings. I'll give you a little quotation that Kierkegaard puts into the mouth of Johannes Climacus in Concluding Unscientific Postscript. Climacus says, "The presence of irony does not necessarily mean that earnestness is excluded. Only assistant professors assume that." So if we're going to avoid the barb that he gives us there, I would like to see irony handled and thought about in a more effective manner. I'll say this briefly. You may be aware of Kierkegaard's stages of existence: his aesthetic stage, his ethical, and his religious. That's well known. What is less commented on is that the transition points between those three stages Kierkegaard narrates in terms of the comic. So the transition between the ethical and the religious he calls humor. And the transition between the aesthetic and the ethical he calls irony. And that's the focus of my paper, is that irony that somehow transmits us from the aesthetic existence to ethical existence. So irony is affecting existence, how people relate. And so I think that's essential. What this also means, of course, is that if irony is being misunderstood or broadly misunderstood in the academy, then reading Kierkegaard on ethics and Christianity, which are subsequent to it, are probably also being misunderstood to some degree or another, maybe unbalanced or maybe seriously misunderstood. So this is obviously just one paper, but I'm attempting to touch on a point that I think could have potentially fairly great correctives to some readings of Kierkegaard. And this, one of the correctives also includes, of course, his attitude towards politics and to the social. So my paper has the effect of also helping to rebut the idea that Kierkegaard's thoughts have no relevance for the social or the political. Sometimes Kierkegaard is presented as being so focused on the individual, single individual, which indeed he is, so focused on the single individual and so inwardly turned on the psychological that he just has no conception or relevance to the external. He may be apolitical or acosmic even. I don't think that's right. Undeniably, Kierkegaard is interested in the individual. That's certainly right. But that doesn't mean that there's no effect, therefore, or relevance to the political. I think Kierkegaard wants to constitute single individuals, kind of healthy individual human beings, in order that then they can rightly engage politics, rightly, in the right manner and for the right reasons. But also, in addition to that, even just a changed person, someone who lives differently, that's going to have a political effect, whether you like it or not. And so there are political ramifications to Kierkegaard's philosophy as well.